Well, the last part of my presentation looks at China. And one of the things I'd like to concentrate on is the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, this was unveiled by President Xi Jinping in 2013. And what it is then, it's a modern formulation of an old idea. The Silk Road goes back 3 centuries, where Marco Polo, for example, took a camel train from Venice in Italy and traveled right through Asia as far as Pakistan and India. And 2 things happened. He brought with him goods to trade with countries along the way, and he took back with him goods which were not available in Europe. And silk, for example, was a premier example. So the Silk Road derives its name from there. What it was an international trade route which started 3 centuries ago. Now, when the president unveiled his Belt and Road Initiative, he was really building on this historic experience. And what he wants to do is to create more connectivity with regions, much wider than simply the old Silk Road, but to increase connectivity and to increase economic activity, particularly trading, with China as the center of that. So if you like, then it's a huge initiative in foreign policy, it's a huge initiative in trade development, and it's an initiative then which has very substantial implications for tourism. How big is it? Well, it's certainly, from most people's viewpoints, it's the largest infrastructure and investment project in history. Not recently, in history. If you look at the belt, it covers more than 68 countries. 65% of the world's population live within this belt, and 40% of GDP is created from it. Okay? Now then, why did the president announce this policy? Well, he knows better than I, but let me tell you why I think this happens. First of all, he recognized what many development economists recognized before him, that without good infrastructure, you cannot develop. And it's not just economic infrastructure, railways, airports, steel mills and all the rest of it. It's also social infrastructure. So you've got to sort of invest, for example, in education. You've got to invest in social improvement for people, medical services and things like that. But one of the biggest problems, certainly in Asia, and I would go beyond that and say in many parts of the developing world, is that infrastructure is poor or non-existent. And if you don't have infrastructure, how can you generate trade? And therefore, part of this idea was to develop then regional integration. And therefore, one of the things that the Chinese government did was to develop the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. What is this? Well, it's a bank which now has over 50 members, which actually provides money for infrastructural development in member countries. So if you like, without that investment in things like railways, in things like airports, social investment in education and the like of it, without that then development cannot take place. And then secondly, and I think this is fair to say, that the Chinese government felt that perhaps the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank were not investing as much in infrastructure as they should be doing. And secondly, much of the investment needed in Asia then wasn't being made available. Now that's a controversial point. I'm only raising it because I think it is part of the wider debate. But there's no doubt that if you look at the Asian Development Bank, it's attracted virtually all the major countries in the world to become members because they see the need for infrastructure. They know how very expensive these projects are, and they see the possibility of getting some of the business. In addition to that, the China government has also set up then a Silk Road Fund, and the fund will invest not in infrastructure but in businesses in this particular region.